Hey everyone, thanks for joining Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and I'm here today with Jon, the designer of Colab. This is a brand new game coming to Kickstarter. It is a 1 to 4 player game that takes roughly 90 to 120 minutes to play and is a competitive game where everybody is competing against everybody else to get the most points, and the player that is able to have the most points at the end of the game will be the winner. So in this video, we're going to be going over some of the main features of the game. I'm going to ask Jon some questions, as this is a little bit of a different format, but we are heading into Gen Con week, so everything is crazy, and it's actually super late right now, so we're scrambling to get all this stuff done, but this is definitely a game that I wanted to show off. It is really cool, and you're going to really enjoy this one. So, and then we're going to wrap the video up with a quick playthrough of the very first round, just to kind of give you a little taste of what this one's like. I also have a link up in the top corner to a video we did playing through the game to show you how the game plays and progresses. So Jon, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you stopping
thanks
by.
for having me. It's awesome.
Tell me a little bit about why you got into designing games. What made you interested in designing games?
Yeah, so I've always loved games. My family always played games. It was like cards. We had this game May I that we played, and it was like everyone could play it, so it was great. But then that grew. As the hobby grew. We got more aware of like Euro games and got into like normally the classic, kind of like path people take of like Catan and Ticket to Ride and all that sort of stuff, and getting bigger into Dominion. And I played Magic for years and stuff too. So I always had been interested in games, right? And so as I got older, I was like, I had some other opportunities. I worked for a little while with a video game startup, and I had a lot of ideas and stuff of like, this would be cool to do with some games, and things didn't really like work out on that end of things. But I had the ideas, and so I was like, well, if I can't do the programming side of things, but I got the ideas, I did a lot of art and stuff like that. I was like, maybe I can take that to the table and make something that's, cardboard is a little simpler, than programming,
Definitely.
So we just started working on some stuff. I did a co-design. Was one of my first games was a co-design, and this is a co-design as well. So it's really cool working with Jon Gilmour on this one, and it's been really cool working with him and seeing this kind of come to life and stuff.
Awesome. So with this one, what would you say was probably the most challenging part of the design process?
Oh man, so this one ended up falling like in the middle of like COVID and stuff, but we had already been working on it for a little while, a couple of years actually. But it's like this is not my full-time gig. I wish it was. It's just we still have I own the business. It's a Portal Dragon is me and Samantha, who in the other video you can see her hands as she trashes us.
Destroyed us.
But so we run Portal Dragon stuff, but lost my train of thought there.
That's all right.
What are we talking about?
Design process, like
what time is it? No.
What's going on? Where am I at?
So the challenging thing with the design process on this one, so this went through so many iterations. Like the whole thing started with one mechanic. It was just workers that hold dice. That's where, like in my notebook, that's what it said. Workers that hold dice, and I was like, I want to do something like that. There it is. It's there. So we just went through a lot of different iterations. When Jon joined the project, he was like just really like jazzed by that whole idea, and it was very different. It really was like we had cool things, but it was like getting it to mesh just right. And so it's been down to like getting that to work, and so we're still have some playtesters and we have some developments. Like right now we're in that like last 5% of getting the balance kind of tweaked, because there's all these different powers and stuff. But I think the thing that was like, we had the board and that was all like kind of going, but the big thing that like came in and like really, I don't know, kicked it, was the grid. And so the building and creating this like engine of cards and monsters and different things that like really fit the theme so well. And so when that just solidified the game, kind of, because we were playing with different ideas, and this one kind of circled for a while, and that's why it took a little bit longer to work on. It wasn't like, head down the whole time through like 3 years. It was like, we were like, okay, that, it's working, but it's not there just yet, you know, but now it's there, and we're really excited to bring it to Kickstarter.
Awesome. So when is it coming to Kickstarter? When are you guys launching?
So September 16th. That's
Gen Con week.
That's right.
A couple days from now.
First day of Gen Con is gonna be a crazy one for us. So it's we're gonna be at the convention with our booth, showing people the game and stuff. But we also are gonna be online with the Kickstarter and stuff. So
Okay.
that one's gonna be launching. So
cool. And so for those people that are watching this, what booth are you guys going to be at if they are at Gen Con and they want to swing by and check this game out?
So the Portal Dragon's the name. It is booth
27 something.
Should be prepared, right?
It's okay. Well, actually, we can also drop it in the comments below.
That would be
as
perfect.
well.
It's like, I don't want to even say a number that it's like.
There, everybody shows up.
We're on the far end. I know. I can point to it on the map.
Cool. So, other than that, so with this game, tell me a little bit about what it is. Like, what kind of mechanics are involved with this?
So Colab is it's a competitive game that you are working as a mad scientist, but unlike some of the classic mad scientists you may be familiar with, you can't afford your own lab space. So you got to use this shared laboratory with all these different rooms and caveats, these towers. You send your minions around to carry resources and stuff. So that's like the theme of where you're at, making your wild creations and bringing them to life. The mechanics of it end up being it has grid building is one of the big core things. We build out our engine by building cards next to each other, and they trigger each other or like give like some feedback to like cause different effects and things like that. So you're building your grid, you're collecting dice, you build your own pool and collection of dice. It's a worker placement, dice placement. So it's got a lot of, and who was it? I forget who it was. We had one of the reviewers who took a look at the game. It actually said it pretty cool. It was a fresh look on classic mechanics.
Yeah.
So
it's a hybrid of a mix of different things.
Yeah, so you see some familiar things, but we're just shaking it up a little bit here.
Yeah,
so.
that's really cool. I mean, I'm normally not a big fan of traditional Euro games, but this new breed of hybrids that really introduces all these cool things. You've got miniatures, you've got the dice, you've got all these different things, the engine building and all that, and it really kind of brings it all together and makes it more appealing to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And I know, like beforehand, we also talked about that you have a solo mode in this one, which I'm excited about. I love solo, so tell me a little bit about that.
So in the multiplayer, it's pretty chill. Like, I mean, it can get tense, and especially like when somebody's doing something like crazy, like if you watch that video, you see Samantha just takes us to school and does all. But for the most part, it's not like. We do like take this, because what happens when we're putting out our minions and we're doing stuff in the lab, so you're upgrading the space and I'm going over that space, and when I go add some minions, then you go, well, I'm going to go over there and take advantage of that. So it's like we're creating all these opportunities. So we call it a take this, like I'm giving something away, as opposed to take that, where I'm taking something from you. So it's pretty chill, as far as it goes. Like it's just a different style of game. And so it's not, if you're looking for, I'm going to crush you, then that's not really what the multiplayer is doing.
Yeah.
But the solo, that is what's happening.
Okay.
So the solo, what happens is on the reverse side of these mats, I don't have it, but we'll look at it with some of that stuff. On the other side of every player mat is going to be the evil version of every player. Oh. So there are 4 characters, and so there's 4 bad guys you can fight against. You can fight against them one at a time, or you could fight them as a group or something like that.
Man, so if you really want to be getting pain.
Yeah, it's really challenging. Like it's tough. But what they're doing though is they have their own set of dice. They bring out. So we got solo components, not just like a different rule set.
Yeah.
So their own dice. There's these tokens in a bag that you would do. It's got this whole like kind of AI system. But it's real simple. For the most part, I don't know if you want to cover.
Okay, so with this one now, we're going to take a look at that solo mode real quick. So you have one of the solo enemies or bosses that you're going to go up against. So can you explain a little bit of how that mechanic is a little bit different, how they work?
So this shows a little bit of progress here that they've already kind of been playing. They've already been building some of their cards. What they're working to do is to build their own doomsday device, is what it is. So you build a collection of monsters and devices, potions, all that sort of stuff, but they have a big doomsday device, and this is going to make up a grid of 9, a big picture. So this is, again, this is concept art, prototype stuff, but this is what it's going to work like. We right now are going up against Elias, and he is building the Mind Slayer. This is one of 4 different decks, and this is one of 4 different enemies, and each combo of which enemy builds which deck is different sort of challenge kind of a thing.
Awesome.
So Elias is actually pretty rough with the Mind Slayer because he's going to be bringing out and he's going to add upgrade tokens and stuff to, or special power tokens to the bag. So this bag is pretty much the whole thing.
Okay.
What we do is we have a bunch of tokens. There's these little gray tokens like this that are in here. And then we add in the special power tokens. So these are these little green tokens here. So what happens is on their turn, it just looks like this. We're going to grab one out of the bag. Then we take what's here in the bag, and we're going to do what it says. So what this says is it's going to take the minion, and so there's a reference card, but this says take the minion, the little minion symbol, that's closest to them, okay? So that's always closest to them. So we take this minion, and it's going to travel.
Okay.
So we're going to check to where it needs to go. So what it's going to do is it's going to go to the closest player minion, and it's actually like if we face this, like face up with the picture, it's going to go there. Okay. So there is an open spot, so he can do it. What we do, pull him off. We're going to roll his dice. Destruction, okay? So that one says there that this is going to be destruction, so we put it there. He's blowing up the spot that he's on. Oh, wow. So we're going to put him here. And what that does, he just left some destruction behind him when he moved, is it's going to make fewer spaces on the board that we can end up utilizing. Then we flip this over, it goes there. That's their whole turn.
Awesome.
Then we take our turn, we build some stuff, and then we take another turn.
Okay.
So we'll just do one more.
Sure.
To show how that kind of works. And so we're going to draw from here. Luckily, we didn't get another green one. This one actually says we're going to put a minion at the closest. We're going to move the closest minion to that specific space. Okay. And so they're a little bit dark on this prototype here, but we look at the towers here. We can see they have the little symbols. So the closest minion is actually going to move over there to that tower. And this one, actually what he's going to do is shut down this tower. So now this one says minions cannot collect resources from that tower. So if you want to go over there and you get that stuff, it's not happening. Okay. So this is one of the disruption. So we got some of the destruction and there's disruption. Those are the two different things that they kind of do. Now this adds up here. And so we have 4 checks. And this says when you get 4 criteria, you build this card. So we take this card, and this card shows us where we're going to put it in the grid. There's a grid of 9 here. This says put it right in the center. And so when we put it in the center, we're going to do what it says. This says activate the character's power and return it to 0. So the character's power says add a damage token to the closest space. So we're activating it, put it to 0. Add a damage to each tower. Okay? So what's going to happen here is he blows up this tower, and he tries to blow this tower up, but he can't. Okay. And anytime he can't, he gets mad, and he upgrades this again. So he's getting ready to blow it up again. And what's happening is they're just going to make it worse and worse. All right, so we did that one card, but we also have to trigger all cards surrounding it, okay? So this is going to make all players discard 1 card and 1 token. So we got to get rid of stuff. This one over here is going to be add a power token to the bag and then draw a criteria token and resolve it. Okay, so we got to add one of these into the bag, shake it up, and we're going to get another criteria. These ones go away. He's building another card still. He's working on it. So he brings another one out here, and it says that he is going to go clockwise, which we're lucky. Because if he was going counterclockwise, he would have came to us. Anytime he comes to us, then he upgrades his power again. He's going to blow more stuff up. So he's moving over here, and he's going to destroy some stuff over there now, I guess. But he's got 1 criteria. It's almost to there. Wow. And that was just 2 little turns. You see he's starting to get his stuff while we're trying to race and get our stuff together. So you got to build your cards, get your grid going. He's getting his grid going too. And so either the enemy is going to finish their grid, and they finish their grid, you got 1 turn left to get out of there, basically, is what's going on before they, destroy the planet or whatever it is that the Doomsday Mice might do, mind control or something. If you can finish your grid, then you win in that one last turn. So you got one last hurrah, kind of a thing. But if you don't, you lose. So there's a win-lose condition. Okay. The other thing is, they're out here building their doomsday device, and in their reckless ambition, they're destroying the lab. Like, this is like, he's overpowering, overcranking all the different, equipment and stuff like that, and he doesn't even care if everything comes tumbling around him, so long as he can, achieve his goal. That's kind of the idea. So, he might destroy this whole lab. We can already see he just took a couple, actions, and he's already blowing stuff up. His minions are blowing things up, too. So it ends up adding a lot of chaos to the board. And if ever all of the tower spaces are occupied, which right now we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8, 9. 9 of the tower spaces are occupied, and so it's like a counter here, a life meter, you know. And so
man.
we can use some repair actions. There's some extra things that you can do every time you rest. You get to repair.
Okay.
You can also repair by paying the cost of the tower that it shows. It says the type.
Okay.
If you pay 2 of those, you can just clean it up and stuff. But that takes your resources away from what you're building. So you got to debate: am I going to keep this lab from falling around my ears, or am I going to work on my stuff and get out of here? You know, kind of. So there's the whole thing kind of has this balance of like, I don't know if I want to say anxiety, you know, kind of thing, but it is. There's pressure. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, so exciting. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm excited more about now. I love solo mode stuff, and this is really cool.
And it also ends up being we have this is like this AI can join a multiplayer game as well. So you can play with this guy who's disrupting and destroying with other people. So if we're playing a 2-player game, you and me, we can add in Elias and he can be blowing the lab up and causing chaos when we're trying to build our stuff, and same win-loss condition, you know. But it might end up being that you build your last card and I don't have mine, you know, kind of thing. You trigger the end of the game in a win mode, we end up scoring it, and I might have a chance, but if he triggers the end of the game and I don't have my 12th card, I lose. You know, he blows up the lab, I lose. So we would end up also having a weird kind of, maybe not weird, but an interesting dynamic of going, who's going to repair the lab? Who's going to sacrifice to keep the game going? Or we both lose, you know, kind of a thing, and Elias wins.
Yeah,
so
really interesting.
it ends up some interesting dynamics. And you can play with multiples, you know, and there's a lot of different things going on.
Now, is there a chance, of course, with something like this that we might see a potential for a cooperative mode where where there's a couple players working together to potentially like stop these bosses or complete their objectives kind of together?
Yeah, we've been looking at some of that. So far, we don't have anything like officially planned.
Sure.
But we're exploring a lot of different options, and we have some things like for other expansions and stuff too. So that there's always, I think there's a lot of opportunity
Potential.
here.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's a great idea to look at, and we have had a little bit of that suggestion. There are some challenges of if we can both build, we're a little quick, you know, and what are we building to kind of figure those out. But that's something that, you know, we're looking at, but I can't, you know,
of course,
can't guarantee anything. So
cool. Well, thank you. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of the mechanics now before we get into a turn. So let's take a look at some of the cards in that, some of the way that they can chain together, and some of the different options that we have, and of course all this really cool artwork that you have. That's awesome. There's a couple of them on here already that I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of fun putting references and stuff. So there's all kinds of like science fiction, monster movie, you know, and other kind of references and stuff. And so, you know, we'll leave you to find some of those. But there's some cool things.
Definitely,
I'm really excited about, and it's beautiful too.
Oh yeah, it's
our artist,
artwork.
She is phenomenal. And it's like
really impressed.
I want to be able to have every game I ever do because she just has this style that's just so good, and it's like I'm so excited. It's like I think it just brings everything together what she's done.
Cool. All right, so let's grab a couple cards and take a look at how this engine kind of comes together.
Yeah, so when you build a card, you build out your grid. So we'll say the first card I built was this guy. When you build a red card that has a trigger, you add a trigger token. That just helps remind you when you use that trigger. Triggers happen. There's a few different times that would end up happening, but another time, one of the main times that it happens is when you build next to a card.
Okay.
I don't know if we should be talking about the anatomy of cards and stuff.
Well, we can just kind of go over the basics. So each card will have, there's 3 different types of cards you're going to run into. So what are those? We have monsters.
So there are potions, monsters, and devices. So these are the 3 different types of cards that there are.
Okay.
So all these cards have the same sort of anatomy. They all have a type, and that's shown in the top corner there, as well as on the back. They have a cost. That's how much it costs you to build it. They have points. That's how much they're worth, and then they have effects,
different abilities and effects. Yep.
Yeah. So,
and then you're going to pay the cost by using the dice that you have.
Yep. So you're going to use tokens and dice that you would have in your pool, and you discard your dice when you pay, and you put the tokens back in the supply when you pay. So if we were to build this one, then maybe on a later turn we end up building another. Like maybe we build this guy. So this guy's going to give us points for every card he's next to. But when we build him, he's going to trigger this, And then that's going to get us a new die that we add. So this says gain 1 die. The gray means you get to choose.
Awesome.
So I could be like, I want to build more purple or I want to build more red, whatever, and add that to your collection. That's going to happen every time we build next to this. So I might want to keep building next to this early in the game to kind of build that up.
Yeah.
So then another card I might build might be this guy. And what we have here going on is like, this gets points for every adjacent card of any type, but this one is looking for some specific ones. So it doesn't like being next to red ones as much as it likes being next to the purple and the blue. So if I can surround this guy with some purple and blue, he'll be worth a lot of points. And so they kind of feed back on each other. That the purple helps that one and that one helps that one out.
Awesome.
So you get these kind of like engines or feedback loops or whatever you might want to call it of the cards like working together. And so collecting cards and finding the right combo, that's a lot of the game.
Okay. And then we also have the board itself where we're going to be placing both the minions with dice to collect different things each turn, or when we remove them, we'll be collecting different things such as more cards or tokens or even potions and stuff. And then we'll also be placing our main figures in the in-between spaces to take different actions that are listed up here, whether it's collecting different items that are going to be above, and these are modular, so every game this is going to be a little bit different on how everything's laid out. And then we can also do build actions where not only are we going to that allow us to build cards, but it's also going to kind of build the lab as we go along as well. And there's 3 tiers to the lab where as you go through, you have tier 1 that's going to open up different things, and then tier 2, once you've gotten those built, will add even more effects when you go there. And then finally, tier 3, the top tier, has all kinds of other cool effects. And depending upon how you utilize those as you move around, it really makes the game very unique and dynamic in different ways.
Every time something's added, it's like it brings new options. And so you might want to change your mind and go, oh, now I can build 2 blue over here. I might want to go build over there. Now that you bring resource and stuff, and you see that change all the time, and I have to kind of adapt and go, what new opportunities are out there? And the board changes every time you play, like the towers, you can mix them up and stuff. And so there's a lot of like adapting to what available options there are. But yeah, the turns are really simple. I mean, for the most part, what you're looking to do is you got your minions. Minions get you stuff, and your scientists do stuff. So you go put a minion out, you get the thing. You put your scientists out, you do the thing. So you either collect, build, and it's pretty simple.
Cool. So let's take everybody through one quick sample around to kind of show everything in action. So let's go ahead and start, I guess, by rolling our dice. So we have some options here. And we'll start off with these white dice, which are going to be just basic dice that'll have each one of the different types of currency on it, but only one value. And then we'll have these specialty dice that are for each type of resource that's out there. And those will have multiples of some of those symbols on there.
And even have some wilds so that it works for either of the symbols. So some of the cards end up having, they require a certain number of this symbol or this, but there's like the tokens and the dice have some that are like they can work as any symbol in that color.
Cool. All right, so I'll let you start, John, if you want to show us.
Yeah. So when we start out the game here, this is how the board would be set up. We already drafted our stuff, and so if I'm working on red, then I may want to send this guy out here, and I'm going to collect a red and a blue card. So I get some cards, get some options. And then maybe I want to go and start collecting up some dice. So over here, I'm just going to go over here and get, you know what? Actually, I'm going to come here. So when I go and I'm going to take a collect action, I can use the workers, whether they're my workers or my opponents. So I have 3 workers here. That means I can go and use that kind of as a currency or resource. I can spend 2 of them here and 1 of them here, and I can get 2 dice. So I can get myself a blue dice and a red dice, and so that's what I'm going to do. I put those in my bowl, and that's the end of my turn.
All right, so then I will, let's see, I will go here, and I will just take a purple card, and then...
Cal, but notice you put a 2 out there.
I did. Yeah. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do a build action just to kind of show how that works.
Sure.
So I have a couple of different options. Ooh, I picked up Audrey. Oh, man. So feed me. I have not enough for him, but I do have enough for my chompers. So I will go ahead and spend the token, and this will go into my supply, and then I will start building my engine with them. And that's...
So this has a build action right there. That means when you build it, you do a thing.
Yep.
So that says you gain a dice. So you get to choose a die to gain.
So I will gain another purple die. Keep working on that.
That's one way to go. You know, you go out and build cards and get dice. I just had collect dice without building cards.
All right. Well, that will give you a good idea of how the game plays and some of the different things that it has to offer. And I do want to point out that all the materials you see here are still prototype materials and are subject to change and look a lot better in the final production copy of the game. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and leave us feedback on it. If you have any questions or comments, post those in the comments section below and we'll do our best to answer them, or swing by Kickstarter's main page and drop any questions you have there as well. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch our videos and leave us feedback on them. We do really appreciate it and take into account everything you say to make the best possible videos. Until next time, we'll see you later.